Glad to welcome you back to the Crimson Tide Sports Network. This is Roger Hoover, joined by the Director of Athletics, Greg Byrne, for what we call Greg Byrne Live. It's our monthly conversation on Alabama athletics. And Greg, first of all, roll tide. How's everything been since we last caught up in early September? Now we're in October.
Yeah, doing good, Roger. You know, obviously the fall sports are up and going, and a lot of our spring sports have a fall season as well. And so it's fun to see all the excitement of having kids out there competing and fans being in the stands, and you know, it feels a little bit more like normal, which is wonderful to see and be a part of.
And the last time we caught up, we were getting ready for Alabama's first home game with full capacity. Just what can you tell us about the game day experience that you've noticed as we've gone game to game throughout the home games here in Tuscaloosa?
Well, it's obviously first and foremost having a full Bryant-Denny Stadium has been a wonderful experience, I think, for everybody to be able to get together. And you know, I do think what we went through this last year with everything in society going on, from obviously from COVID to having limited capacity, and it was something where I hope we all get to appreciate the fact that we're back together. Now, with that said, we've been dealing with some challenges, quite frankly, Roger. I mentioned it in the Byrne notice yesterday that we're about at 40% of our game day staff has not been showing up to work, and that's impacting people getting into the stadium. That's impacting concession stands. It's impacting a lot of different things, and I think we've made some good steps, not perfect, but some good steps from a entry standpoint. Last two games, both Southern Miss and Ole Miss, we had the gates cleared at kickoff, which Mercer we did not. Our biggest rush, and I think people can understand this, our biggest rush is about 35 minutes before kick. That's when a lot of people try to get in all at the same time. And, that puts a big crunch. As much as we'd like everybody to be able to show up 15 minutes before kickoff, walk right in and get in their seats, that's a tough time when everybody else is trying to do that. We open up gates about 2.5 hours before kick. They're not about at 2.5 hours before kick. We have people standing in line waiting to get in at that point. And then all the way up until about a little less than an hour, it's usually walk right up, get in, not having any problems. And we try to keep people entertained during that time. But if I could just, constructively say, hey, man, if you can get in there earlier, it helps be a better experience for you. It helps just, we have so many gates, and as we're taking electronic tickets now, which we're in the adoption phase of that right now, right? And when you look at technology, you have the adoption part, which is the toughest part, where people are learning how to do what a new normal is. And we're trying to learn that ourselves. And the great majority of our folks have been really good, and appreciate it so much, their attitude about it. And it's something that we're learning how to operate in this new world. But it's gotten better each week as that's gone along. The second part is concessions. Roger, we aren't where we need to be, and I'm sorry that that's the case right now. I don't want that for our fans. I want them to have, I understand we have old concession stands. They're from some of them are from the 1950s, but that doesn't mean we can't, that we can't be as efficient as we possibly can with those. We are working diligently to try to come up with a new solution, because I think we have a new reality that, post-COVID here, well, COVID's still going on, but in our new, after how the job market has changed, getting the numbers of people that we need. And just to let you know, before COVID, back when we started adding metal detectors, we started shipping game day workers, having them bus in as far out as Orlando at times. So it's not like we just put an ad out in the Tuscaloosa News and everybody shows up that we need. It's been multiple layers of efforts to get people to work our gates, to work our concession stands. And, it's becoming more and more challenging. And so I think the reality is we're going to have to be open-minded about maybe having a new approach. We've got a few weeks before our next home game, but I can tell you we are spending a lot of time on concessions in particular, trying to figure out, in some ways, I feel like we're going to maybe have to have a little bit of a new mousetrap. And I don't want our fans to be inconvenienced with that. So I'm sorry that that's been the case for him. But I do want you to know it's not being swept under the rug and ignored. We are working, and we'll do our best to communicate going forward as things develop.
Yeah, we know that's something that'll improve game to game, just like the entry into Bryant-Denny Stadium. What can you tell us about the Ticket Allies, especially so many of the full-time athletic department staff members stepping up with those neon T-shirts, helping people get through the gates?
Yeah, so after the Mercer game, we had an issue. I think there were gates that weren't cleared till 20 minutes after kick. We had an all-staff meeting the following Monday, and I told everybody on our department, which we have about 350 employees, I said, if you do not have a game day responsibility, and even if you do have a game day responsibility, can you adjust like some of our sports and recruiting? Does everybody have to be with the recruits, or can we have some efficiency there as well? And so we've had over 70 people, including some of our student athletes who have signed up, which I can't tell you how much we appreciate from other sports. And we had over 70 of them we put the bright yellow shirts on, and Ticket Ally, I've been wearing them and out there with our fans because one of my foundational beliefs is you never ask anybody to do anything you're not willing to do yourself. And our staff has really been awesome. They've gone over and above to serve our customers. The great majority of our customers have been very appreciative of the assistance as we're trying to learn this new technology. I even said, I'll say it here publicly, I even said, guys, if we can't get this thing figured out, if the technology isn't where we need it to be, and I understand there's going to be hiccups as you introduce something new. That's life, that's reality. But if we can't get this to where our fans are in the stadium before kickoff, we may have to look and say, do we need to go back to paper tickets or print at home for a while? There are a lot of positives about paper tickets and print at home. There are a lot of challenges. I spoke to Kiwanis today in Birmingham. Our counterfeit issues with print at home tickets and paper tickets are more significant than electronic tickets. And so so there's positives. There are some positives about transferring tickets to other people through electronic tickets compared to a paper or print at home ticket. So there are positives on it, and pretty much any major sporting event these days do have electronic tickets. We're just trying to get this thing introduced and get it off the ground, and we really appreciate everybody's patience in this new world with this.
We're so fortunate.
So back to the question. I'm really good at diverting something else. So the Ticket Allies have been awesome, and I really can't tell you how much we appreciate our staff taking time away from on Saturdays for a lot of them to come and serve our customers. And I think it's going to be the new normal, at least for this season. I'm hoping our staffing levels can increase in the future, and we're going to do our very best to get people in, and we appreciate everybody's work with that.
Really do appreciate the hard work of everybody chipping in as Ticket Allies. And one of my favorite things that Alabama does is honor its past and history. Such a rich tradition to honor, especially in football. But I love seeing the honorary captains each and every week for Alabama home games. This past week, Leroy Jordan, Bill Battle. We've seen Wayne Davis, Bobby Humphrey, among others, already this season. And I know part of what they get to do in Tuscaloosa is visit with you for a few minutes. Just what do you gain from those meetings? I'm sure talking some history as well, but also looking forward.
Well, I started when my very first year started meeting with the honorary captains on Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon before the games, and it's been great. I've got I had a pretty good walking knowledge of Alabama history before I came here, and all that has done is sitting down with people like Bill Battle and Leroy and just that happened. You get a history lesson on steroids when you get to sit down and talk with some of the legends of our programs, and so I get to learn a lot, and at the same time too, I get to talk to them and say, here's some of the things we're working on. I've said this before. One of the things I asked early on with people like Leroy, I know I asked Leroy this, I know I asked Coach Battle this. Tell me what we've learned from the past on what we've done well, and tell me what from the past and mistakes that we've made so we can try not to repeat those challenges in the future. And, I won't get into specifics as far as what they would say, but it's been a great learning opportunity for us, me as the athletic director, but for us as a department, to make sure you learn from history, both positive and challenging things. And those conversations have really been good. The guys who played for Coach Bryant, when they come in, I say, okay, tell me your favorite Bear Bryant story. or it doesn't matter. It was Coach Stallings, Coach Perkins, across the board. Tell me some of your fondest memories, and tell me as same way as what else can we learn from the past as well to help us be better in the future.
Didn't you used to have Coach Bryant's office at Kentucky when you were
I did,
there?
yeah. Mr. Kitely, who was the longtime equipment manager for Kentucky men's basketball, we were going to play when I was at Kentucky. Kentucky and Alabama were going to play football, and I was really excited to come down here. It was actually my first trip almost 20 years ago to Tuscaloosa. And Mr. Kitely came in and he said, you're going to, I think it was before the game, and he said, you're going to Alabama this weekend. And he said, Greg, who used to have this office? And I said, no, Mr. Kitely, I don't. He said, Bear Bryant used to have this office. I said, well, dang, that's pretty dang cool. That was something I thought. I was like, man, if these walls could talk and just hear some old stories, it'd be great. And now I get to hear those old stories from some of the people who experienced them directly.
That's pretty cool. And in addition to that, you get to visit with somebody that, like Coach Bryant, has won a lot of national championships at Alabama, and that, of course, is the current head coach, Nick Saban. I know you get to meet with him once a week. I heard you talk about this on the Feinbaum show last week, but what do you gain in the meetings that you have with him each and every week during the football season? What's that like?
Well, Roger, I've said this, but he has been beyond incredible to work with. And he is so smart, so well thought out, very good listener. And so, I think it's important during the course of a season when everything's so intense every single week to make sure we get a chance to spend a couple minutes together each week. And so Sunday afternoons, he and I usually get a few minutes together. And some Sundays I've got 3 or 4 things to bounce off of him. So he's up to date on some things. He may have a couple things he wants to bounce off me. Some Sundays I don't have anything that I need to update him on, which is, I always like that a lot. But I still make sure I'm consistent with that at the time. And he's, it's kind of become our I don't know if it's a tradition or just part of our schedule. And I think it's been very, very, very helpful in me to be able to be the AD and making sure he's up to date with what's going on in our department and as well as things that are going on nationally within college sports or the SEC.
It's great you're able to do that with Coach Saban, and with fall sports, with so many different events going on, how do you try to just stay? I know you go to as many games as you can, but how do you try and stay in tune with all the coaches that have their seasons underway as well?
Yeah, I have all of our games events on my calendar, home and away. So not every single time, but a lot of the times I try to give a hey, good luck beforehand, text or call. And then you keep track of what's going on with the games. Some of them I'll be at in person whenever my schedule allows, and then some of it I'm following on Twitter to keep up to date. The sports administrator sometimes will send me a quick text of something that's happened during the game, and then I try to reach out after games. And one of the things that's important that I don't know, as a fan, you maybe don't think about. It's really important that the coaches hear from you and your student athletes see you after you win. But it's really also important for them to see you and hear from you after you have a defeat, and that they know that you're with them through the good times and that you're with them through the challenging times. And so I learned that really early on watching my dad. And so that's something I try to make sure I'm consistent with that from a visibility standpoint. And that's part of keeping track of what's going on with all your teams and all your student athletes.
We love the fall sports are underway, and part of that is basketball. Men's and women's basketball coming off great years from the year before. So what are the preparations like for basketball season, starting with Tide Tip-Off that's coming up in a few weeks at Foster Auditorium?
Yeah, so our marketing folks and talked to our basketball staffs and decided they wanted to go to Foster this year. And I said, hey, that's a great idea. Let's give it a try. And so I think it's going to be a little more student focused because of that. But it'll be, I've seen volleyball games in Foster, and I've seen our women's basketball team practice in Foster, but I have not seen an actual scrimmage type deal, and which is what obviously some of which will be going on for Tide Tip-Off. But it'll be a lot of fun. I know we're just starting to introduce some of the details about it for our fan base, but it should be a lot of fun to get the season tipped off and going, and obviously that event is the beginning of it for us publicly. But it's going to be fun to watch these teams. A lot of excitement to see the progress that we've made with both our programs, and hopefully that's something that we can capitalize on for the future. And I think I know both staffs have been out there recruiting their tails off, and we've been trying to have some fundraising conversations around our basketball programs and gymnastics programs that, as people want to know what the next steps are there, and that's ongoing as we speak. And so it's something that it's fun to get those sports going. People talk about the fall being busy, and we do have a lot going on, but actually the winter and spring is our busiest time of year. And so it'll be great to get those sports up and going.
Certainly will be, and so many sports are going now. I just want to have some quick thoughts on, let's start with soccer and volleyball. Big win for soccer last week against LSU. We know volleyball has a tremendous opportunity coming up on Saturday with Kentucky, the reigning national championship, coming to Foster Auditorium.
Yeah, volleyball will be playing Kentucky on Saturday. It's interesting, back to my days at Kentucky, that volleyball program is coming a long way. And really impressed to where they've had the success all the way to win a national championship last year. And it's been a kind of an up and down year for Lindsay and her team, but she's been really doing good for building a foundation for our future, and the kids have been working hard. And then at the same time too, our soccer program, big win against LSU, number 24 last week. I'm really happy for Wes and the kids on the team. Hopefully we can take that into this coming weekend and have some more success. I know Sunday we have, I believe, we're playing Vanderbilt, if I'm not mistaken, on Sunday in soccer. Mississippi State on Sunday in soccer. So hopefully people can come out and get a chance to watch that as well.
And people may not see it as much, but the cross-country team is having great success. They're ranked really highly, and swimming and diving seems to be off to a good start as well as the golf programs.
Yeah, it's just it's that time of year where they're all going and keeping track of them. And our women's team just had a really good tournament. Our men are continuing to make progress with our golf programs. Cross country they're out there running and had a really good showing with especially our women's team at the last event. So tennises are going as well and getting ready for the spring for that. But it's a busy time of year.
All right, before we let you go, I know you're a former basketball player. We mentioned Tide tip-off sometimes at events like that. And again, I don't know what the schedule has for that night. You have a three-point shootout or a slam dunk contest. Which one of those would Greg Byrne performed in, and how successful would you have been?
Well, the dunk contest, I had to get everything just right to successfully pull off dunks when I was playing. I was really good at staying low to the ground. But I think I'd be a little bit better if you gave me a couple days to get ready. I certainly couldn't probably shoot as well as the guys and the women on our team, but I wouldn't embarrass myself. So I can still shoot a little bit when I get the ball in my hands.
Favorite spot on the floor? Well,
actually, I was a very good free throw shooter because I used to get to the line a little bit, and so to me, I do like shooting free throws still, but I always preferred if you were shooting outside. And back when I played, 3-point line just came into existence in high school. Literally was introduced to the high school game when I played, and my coach didn't want me shooting threes back then. But I could shoot them from the corner because I was the post, and that was a more traditional offense than basketball. But if y'all see me, I'm 6'5", 6'6". The problem back then, I was playing against, we had 6'9", two couple 6'9" kids and 6'10" kids. That was a lot to handle back then.
You're giving me a lot of ammo to ask Mark Few when we get to see him in Seattle here in a few weeks. This sounds good.
Yeah, you can ask him. I'll tell him only remember the good thoughts from back then.
That sounds good. Well, Greg, just thank you so much for your time and your monthly visit with us here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, and look forward to catching up with you again when it will be the start of November, and that means the start of basketball season, and football will be in full swing, just everybody going in the same direction. We just keep looking forward to it, and just thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Roger. Appreciate everybody, and thank you for working with us. I promise you're working to get better every single day. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Our thanks to the Director of Athletics, Greg Byrne. Thanks to all of you for watching the Crimson Tide Sports Network.